landowner and got his permission to do
Yes,
this?
yes.
Okay.
So it's not 200 yards from the fence to the south edge of that pond?
No, it is not, but we will
Not even
be,
100 yards?
no, but we will be north of there. Because when looking at distances as far as from the movie theater and everything are concerned, to stay at 200 yards away, there's a pond in the southeast corner. We have to actually be west of that to be in compliance with that state law. So we will be further away than, we won't be hunting right on the fence line.
Because you just decoy the ground and then,
Yes.
Will you be hunting yourself, or will you have a group?
I'll probably have a group. As far as Mr. Henderson is concerned, he would like to remove as many geese as possible. Just driving by, if you guys happen to notice, there's a very large brown spot around that southeast pond you can see from the interstate. He actually planted soybeans within 5-6 foot of the bank, so that is all supposed to be soybeans. He's assessed it's approximately 17 to 20 acres of soybeans that he's lost due to this problem.
How many are you allowed to shoot?
At this time, it's 2. The first week of November, it changes to 3.
Okay. Yeah, but you could go every day?
We won't be out there every day. As far as my friends and I's work schedule goes, it'll mostly be just Saturday, Sundays.
so you're the only one asking permission?
Yeah, I
You're the
am.
only one that's going to have city permission to be out there?
Okay.
Am I wrong?
All right.
That's what the request is for Mr. Orr to hunt in city limits. We don't have, I mean, until we get to the next issue, but there's some different caveats with that one.
Okay.
Dave, you have an issue with that?
No, what I would say is if, as far as the hunting goes, within the state regulations, if this gentleman is here to request permission for that, that's a good hunter. I mean, that's, the person that we're worried about is the person who comes out and doesn't have permission and just hunts illegally. Once they come in front of you and ask for permission and they've researched it like this, that's a good hunter. The only caveat I would say is, because this is not Mr. Orr's land, I'm wondering if the city shouldn't get something from the landowner. Otherwise, are we giving him permission to hunt, and then a later on time, is there something that gets pulled back? Should the permission go to the landowner and then on to Mr. Orr, or should we have something from the landowner? And that would be my question.
I would think you should have something from the landowner.
We do have verbal confirmation from the landowner for Mr. Orr to hunt there. And you know, whether we get that in writing, which is probably not a bad idea, but we did want to check with Mr. Henderson to make sure that he was aware of this, and in this case, he is, and supports Mr. Orr's request.
Does he know you were planning on taking friends or other people with you, or did he expect it only to be you?
Yes, he expected to have a group out there, and as I said, he would like to remove as many as possible.
Oh, and that's the only reason I asked the question. I didn't want somebody calling and there's 5 or 6 of you out there, and I thought you guys only approved one person.
And to be fair, we're only approving Mr. Orr, and, I mean, that's what you're approving, that's all you can approve, because that's the request right now. I think that you would want to know specifically who you're granting permission to, because if somebody's hunting out there, I think the city has a responsibility to understand who would actually be doing the hunting.
Any other discussion? We do have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call, please?
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
No.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. You are approved.
Can his other friends bring to our next council meeting to get the next hunting season?
I think it would be important that they identify themselves as being a part of Mr. Orr's group, so we know who they are.
Do you wish for him to attend the next meeting, or just contact the city to notify who those people would be?
that's up to the mayor and council, if you want to know who they
I would
are.
think they should do the same permission
I don't think
process.
so.
The process, yes, but do you want them to actually come here and meet with you at the meeting on the 25th? Or just submit a request
Just if you
for?
want to hunt.
Can they request
Yeah.
as a group and name each person? Or do they each
We-
need to make the request individually?
I think we can do it as one request with a list of who they are.
How many is there?
There would probably be 5 or 6.
I think we can do it all as one item, as long as we have the names on there.
So are you, is the council wanting, if they do that, for each of them to be here at the next meeting so you can meet them,
I
or?
think as long as they identify they're with him, I don't know why they need to.
Right, they're
Need
part
to
of
be
the
here.
horror hunting group.
Do you see anything wrong with that, Dave?
No, I believe that, as a council, if you have all the names down, and again, my biggest fear with the whole thing was we didn't have anything in writing, and obviously it was taken care of beforehand, but I had viewed this earlier today in the council packet. I don't have a problem with that. The only other request I would make is that if when you start hunting, maybe you would give a call to MHI, because they haven't been used to hunting out there, and let them know you're within regs not to do it, but that'd be a good thing to do.
My concern is with, like Bob said, it's not a landowner asking for permission on their own land within city limits.
And-
What direction do we go from here? I mean,
Right.
if somebody calls, like the people that bow hunt down there, hey, we're not gonna do it this year, but a friend of ours, he's handicapped, but he wants to use a shotgun.
Yeah, and I think you have to pay attention to where they are. I mean, well, it's in city limits, pay attention to where they're at in conjunction with residential neighborhoods and what have you. This one is a bit of an anomaly being separated.
Right.
Your next agenda item does have some variations to this request as well, so.
I think because he's got an overpopulated,
Yeah, if they can only shoot
yeah.
2 each time, it's like, it's gonna take a while to get rid of those games.
And we have to open it up on 3 elms too.
What do you do with
They're
them?
bad.
Oh, we eat them?
Sounds good to me.
You never ate geese?
Oh, gosh, no.
just so long as they don't try any goose turducken in the fire department. That's my only request.
I know how dangerous or how messy they can be and dangerous they can be. I have them in my neighborhood every once in a while, out there by that triangle park or pond, so. Okay, that one did pass, and you do understand what you need to do with the other people, what they need to do? Okay. Next one is, his name is Higdon, just as an initial. Kyler, is it? What's different on this?
Mr. Elliott says that he has only spoken with Mr. Higdon one time. He doesn't know him very well. He'd like Mr. Higdon to reach out to him and discuss it further, which gave me pause because I think we want to know Mr. Elliott is very comfortable with who's on his property and under these circumstances where they're hunting on somebody else's property. I don't know if Mr. Higdon is a part of your group, Mr. Orr. This one, I'm not as comfortable with because the landowner is not as comfortable, and I think we have to, I'd recommend to the council that we either table it or deny it until we have a higher level of comfort with Mr. Elliott on their hunting.
I'd make the motion table it.
Second.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second to table the second request. Roll call on that too, please.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes.
Scharf?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes.
O'Laughlin?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, motion is
And on that
carried.
first one, Al, then you'll get a permission from, in writing from Henderson
We'll ask-
about all those names?
Correct.
Okay. I didn't realize we had so many steps to go through on this thing for this grant. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve the Iowa Economic Development Authority, IEDA, Cdbg program contract.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Then may I have a roll call, please?
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Adding to that is a motion to approve a resolution that authorizes the mayor to sign a contract with IEDA for the CDBG program contract, number 21.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call, please?
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next is a motion to approve a contract for services between Intercog and Independence for the CDBG number 21 contract.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call?
Well, maybe,
Oh, excuse me.
we all understand what this is, Al. Maybe you could explain what, this is pretty good for the city.
This is a very good thing for the city. This is the Facade Improvement Grant through HUD. It's called the Community Development Block Grant Program. It allows us to use 50% of the dollars needed to upgrade or redo the facades on 8 buildings. 50% of the money coming from the federal government, 25% from the property owner, 25% from the city. The federal grant is $499,000 and change, so it's right at the $500,000 limit for doing those 8. The first contract was with HUD to do, well, actually, it's with the state of Iowa through HUD for the contract with them to use the money. The second contract that you're approving here is with Intercog to administer those grant dollars on behalf of the city. They helped us in writing the grant. They are the ones that, and they did not charge us to do the grant writing with hopes that they would do the grant administration. That's the agreement that we have with Intercog on these grants. So this contract is with Intercog to administer the funds. If you are familiar with administering federal dollars, they'll earn their keep.
And that's actually paid out of the grant to
The-
them. We don't pay them for it.
That's correct. The administration fee is part of the grant proceeds, so it's not city paying for that.
Okay.
And the owners of the buildings, they've got skin in the game by that 25%?
That's correct.
Okay. Do we know what buildings are going to be done?
We do,
Or don't want to tell us?
Well, no, can we get all the way down to the end of this?
I can't recite them for you, but it's primarily on the 200 block of First Street East for this particular grant, and primarily on the south side of the street. We do have another CDBG grant application pending, which expands that area to come further east and has some buildings on the north side of the street as well, but we haven't been notified of our award on that one yet.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Scharf.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next is a motion to approve the resolution that authorizes the mayor to sign a contract with Intercog for the administration of the CDBG grant contract.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion left? Roll call.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Scharf.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next is a motion to approve the AIA agreement with Curtis Architecture for the CDBG number 21 grant. They're the architecture that's doing the work for it.
So moved.
Second.
I will point out that the city attorney has reviewed this and given us some very thoughtful comments. Not all of them were able to be incorporated into this because of some of the notice or some of the vagueness of topic dealing with 8 different property owners, or I guess it's 5 property owners, 8 facades. So there's a little bit of looseness in the timeline, the exact timeline for completion, which was a concern raised, and I think the fee schedule did change based on the city attorney's comments, so we did tighten that up, and I appreciate that, Steve.
So do we have a motion and a second on this?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Thank you, that motion's carried. So let's pretty much cover the first group of buildings, right?
That's correct.
This, we're gonna really, I think, enjoy that, seeing this take place. Other towns have,
How many
Had
buildings
great
did you say it
success.
was?
Well, there's 8
Yes.
facades, there's
Okay.
5 property owners, but there's 8 storefronts that are covered by those 5.
Okay,
Some have more than one.
because it's S&K Furniture, Adams Furniture, Quilter's Corner are the 3 that I'm aware of. I'm not sure about the other.
Yeah, and I know that there was a couple of changes in there, so instead of giving you bad information, I have the list, and have it in front of me.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is a motion to set Monday, October 25th, 2021 at 6:30 PM as a public hearing for an amendment to a zoning ordinance.
So moved. Second.
This is out there by the trailer court.
This is the Rush
West
Park
of town.
Trailer Park. There is a private residence that sits south and east on that property with the mobile home park behind it, and they want to separate out the private residence from the single-family home from the mobile home park.
And this is just setting a date for next
This just
council
sets the
meeting.
date for the public hearing and potential first reading should you approve it.
So no questions about it tonight?
No, it's just setting the date of the public hearing.
You don't need a roll call with this?
No, just.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion's carried. We'll have that on next Monday's, or our next council meeting.
Yep.
Okay. Next is a motion to approve a resolution to file the fiscal year 2021 annual financial report.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, do have a motion and second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill,
yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve a resolution that accepts the work covering the 2021 downtown sidewalk replacement project.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just have one question. We've had a lot of people ask questions about it settled, and possibly that was because it wasn't compacted well enough. Did we take extra precautions to try to prevent this?
Yeah, to answer your question, yes, we used a different type of material, and we ensured that it was compacted, that they had run a vibratory compaction plate over all of the material before they placed any of the concrete. So
Okay, thank you.
there wasn't anything else that went in after that compaction was done.
Is there any type of warranty on that at all, Mark?
The project has a 4-year warranty, maintenance bond, yep.
Good. Okay, roll call, please.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve the mutual aid agreement with AMR, which is a new ambulance services that we will be receiving.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Second?
I have some questions about this. Would this basically be, since this will be covering the whole county, is this gonna end up being something where if they're out in the county with an ambulance, our fire department gets the call for a local call, or?
No, this is primarily for us to provide support services, basically a driver, if they are shorthanded. And we've done that with area ambulance for years. If we ended up short, they call and we have one of our drivers, support them with driving. This is not significantly different. This just spells out in more formal terms, each person's responsibility. If I send a firefighter out to drive for AMR, they'd be covered under our work comp, under our liability insurance. They stay our employee under that scenario. Not dissimilar from what it was
Do we
with
pay
area
them
ambulance.
and are reimbursed by AMR, or how does it work?
They would reimburse that employee primarily, but I don't believe it comes back to us. We don't have an agreement where they would pay us for that service.
Okay.
But again, it's similar, I see Dick looking at me, I think it's the same thing as what we've been doing with area ambulance for the last several years.
Right, we've been doing the same thing for area. If they needed additional assistance, they called us. If they're on a code or they've got an oversized person that they need additional assistance lifting, they called us. This is basically the same thing we were doing for area, but I don't know that we ever actually had an agreement with area that we were doing that. This just makes it more formal with AMR.
So are they more employed like an independent contractor would be? They're paid directly from AMR? Is that?
The people, if we go out to help,
Yeah.
that unfortunately I am not 100% sure on.
Okay.
But
No, we are, there are our employees, so we are still paying them.
yeah,
as
that's
part
the
of
way
it.
I would understand. It was just the same thing we did with area. And we never got reimbursed from area on it either. So nothing has changed other than it's been just more formalized than what we had with area. So,
You guys are okay with that?
yeah. Yep, we were okay with it with area. There should be no reason we wouldn't be okay with it with AMR. Different name, same thing we're doing. All we're wanting to do is try to supply the citizens with the best care that they can get. And if AMR needs additional help, we'll help them with that. It's not that we're going to go out and try to be a first responder unit. And so as your answer, if they've got a call out in the county or outside the city limits, or even if they've got a call within the city limits, it doesn't matter whether it's outside the city limits or within the city limits, they've got a backup crew. Same thing area was supposed to have. It's just that every now and then, if they've got their second crew or even a third crew, they may need a driver. And that's all we would be doing is supplying the driver. We're not supplying any medical attention or anything like that.
Okay.
So,
Do we,
That was my question.
yep.
do we
Good
have,
question, Tim. I mean,
do we had a lot of discussion on how many people answered a call or with area ambulance. Remember, we were having a number of people come and then area ambulance said, well, we didn't ask for that many people, but then when we didn't show up, they have to call us. We just don't hear before we kind of heard
well, we were responding as a first responder unit. We weren't responding, we were responding as a first responder. We were not responding as a fire department. So that's where kind of some of it might have come in that way. Now, like if they need a driver, when area needed a driver, with our I Am Responding app that we have that we run off from, if area calls and, hey, we need a driver, we put out a page through not across the pager, but through I Am Responding. It's just text message that goes out to all the fire department, all the employees on, everybody on the fire department. And if somebody's available, they'll put responding. So if we're out on a call or get asked to go, and I look up and says, yep, I can be available, I can go and look, say, okay, nobody else responded yet, yep, I'll respond, I can do it. Or if I look and say, okay, somebody else is responding, I just won't do anything because they only need one person. So as far as the driver's side of it, that's the way that goes. If it's something where they need a lift assist, that's probably gonna go out of page just like we do, and we may end up with a lot of people. But you never know what you're getting into. You may need extra people. So,
okay.
yeah, like I said, it's basically the same situation we're doing now, just different names,
Okay.
so. Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Roll call?
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Callahan. Yes. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on agenda is a motion to approve a professional service agreement with Bolton and Mink for a project at the airport.
This is the project that we just had approved to expand the taxiway or move the taxiway, expand the apron on the north edge of the existing T-hangars and move the access from where it's at further south of several hundred feet so that there's not a direct access off the apron and onto the runway, which is an effort by the FAA to improve safety at airports in general.
So moved.
Second.
Excuse me, want to match, to the, it's 85% match, would you?
This is a 90, no, I'm sorry, 85-15 on this one.
Yeah.
Okay, I just
Yes.
want to make sure we're ready.
Yeah. Yep. Roll call.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next on the agenda is our strategic planning proposal. Do you want to explain that, or?
Before we, why not make the motion so then we can have our discussion?
Second.
You did, you made the motion, okay,
What's the
What's
motion?
the motion?
okay.
To go ahead with the strategic planning as outlined here. Hiring an outside individual.
And that is,
That's what I seconded.
yeah, okay. So is there any discussion then? Before I call?
Susie, you can't read my mind?
No, I'm not that good yet, sorry.
This proposal does not have set dates yet. I haven't heard back from any council members as to what does or does not work, but this is assuming a day, what they call a day and a half, so it would be an evening and a one-day strategic planning retreat.
I feel it's a waste of money. We know, pretty much based on what we have for goals for the city now, that we should do it internally with department heads and other people, you know, talk about timelines, staffing, what's available, what's not available, what would need to be contracted in order to meet some certain criteria. No, I think money could be better spent elsewhere.
I would be opposing what Mike just suggested. I feel after being involved in the prior strategic planning sessions, the recommendations and I guess, the synergy gained through everybody working together with the department heads, council, and city staff, we came up with a fabulous strategic plan that guided us for over 5 years. And doing that again, I think would be money well spent for the citizens of Independence. If you look at the accomplishments that we have done off that first strategic plan that we did, it's pretty impressive. And we wouldn't have had the facade grants downtown probably. We wouldn't have had the dog park. There's a lot of things that all developed out of that. And I think we owe it to the citizens of Independence to really put thought into this, to come up with a good solid plan again. That's my feeling.
I would agree with you, John. I think that it's kind of like, it's our legacy as a city council. What are we gonna do to make, my hope is that I'm gonna leave Independence better than, you know, not that it was bad or anything, but that I encouraged improvement and progression for Independence. So, I would agree with you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
What's the cost of this?
Based on the day and a half, they are proposing $7,000. When I looked at 3 different firms, when you look at the day and a half, they're all in the same ballpark for price.
If you look at the size of our city budget in 1 year, that's a pretty small amount. And if you take it over the life of a typical 5-year plan, it's really a small amount. I think it's well worth it.
And the one thing, I do think a facilitator brings, well, 2 things. One, they don't have an opinion to start with, so that, you know, they're inclusive of everybody's thoughts. And second, they go to a lot of communities and they see a lot of things that other communities are doing that we don't have that opportunity, that they bring that information to us also, that, what do you think? What maybe? And so I think, you know, they have some skills that we couldn't provide ourselves.
I would ask for a roll call, please.
Kurtz,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
No.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next on the
This would be
agenda,
after the election, so if we have any new people,
right,
they are included in this.
yes.
Correct. We do have a number of dates that were given to you, looking at very late November, early to mid December is kind of the timeframe we're looking. So if there are any dates that absolutely do not work for you, please let me know. Otherwise, we will work to finalize that and get dates set. Our goal is to have new council members, existing council members all participate. Department heads would participate as well. I think that that's a valuable asset, and we'd want to use them too.
Those dates are on the last meeting of the whole.
Yeah, correct.
So we can
Same,
refer to
same
that.
dates. Those are the suggested dates. If something in there doesn't work, we'll find other dates, but that would be what I'd start from.
And do you have a time when you need to hear back from each of the council members as to what dates they cannot make, so you can
I would-
know when to set it?
We'd like to know that this week, because everything will be filling up very, very quickly between now and the end of the year. We use this strategic planning to help guide the budget formulation as well, so we'd like to have this done before the end of the year, if at all possible.
If any of you have not responded, please do so before the end of the week. Next on the agenda is a motion to accept a tractor bid from,
I don't have enough for everybody, but I think I've got all the council covered for sure.
we know how to share.
What's that?
We know how to share.
Good, good. Typically, I mean, we don't bring line item type things or capital equipment in front of you. Tonight, this is over our 25,000. Park and Rec's not used to getting things over 25,000, so I don't see you very often for these types of things, so.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, usually it's a hand-me-down of some sort, so we're gonna buy a new tractor. We've had utility tractors in the past, several small ones. This will be our bigger one to help with, a lot more of the trail, be able to clean that in the winter. A lot of the parking lots we'll be able to do ourselves. All of the summer stuff, loading. We've got, the 2 flatbeds, so it'd be nice to have something that we can load 1 flatbeds and dump trucks on our own. So this is probably between a 52 and a 59 horsepower. I also bring it to you tonight because, it is very close. You got Deere, Kubota, and then you have Yanmar. And all 3 of them are fairly competitive. One of them is probably a little more expensive. So the other 2 are within, I think, about $3 of each other tractor-wise. We have $50,000. We are looking to add more items. We're going to do a stump grinder with this machine. That should save the city and the neighborhood. I think Todd alone in the street department has about $5,000 budgeted for stump removal every year, so this will be a shared unit amongst us and the other departments. We ourselves probably have 130 stumps that need removed just in the parks, and if you start figuring on the cheap end, 100, on the more expensive end, 300, you're gonna save yourself quite a bit of money. So we'll be adding a stump grinder. We'll probably not add the post hole digger. So at this point, Light and Power has been pretty good to us as far as digging things when we need, bigger post holes. If we get into a project specific, or we think we're going to need it, or we think, it could be citywide, we're pretty good at sharing. So if we decide to add that later, we may end up replacing that part with like a grapple bucket or even a seeder, which the city doesn't have currently. So this tractor will just give us a lot of opportunity to do a lot more, both in the winter, both in the summer, and kind of all year long. So. And we don't take it lightly because typically we just traded our 955 tractor away. It was a 1991, so I mean we've had them, and it's still really, really operational, really great shape. So we typically have them for a long time. So.
Since you're used to working with different types of tractors, do you have a preference or something?
I don't. These when it comes to, it's really about paint color probably more than anything. I mean, really, there's not a whole lot of difference. There's a lot of apples to apples out there when you're looking at things nowadays. Probably 20 years ago, it wasn't like that. Nowadays, they basically have all of the same stuff, so, you know, the one that's probably cheaper at the top end when you add everything together, that's because they own land, you know, Landmark, which makes all of those attachments. So, you know, that might make it cheaper on that end, but all of those same accessories go on any of the 3 tractors. So I don't want you to think that, you know, just because one person's accessories is cheaper, they work on every tractor, so.
I was gonna say, by what you were telling us, you eliminated 2 of them if you wanted.
Yeah, no, I didn't, I only probably eliminated 1, to be really honest. I mean, we want to get as much as we can. We'd like to add a grapple bucket, because we think that's important too, somewhere down the
That
line.
would really be handy.
But we want to get as much of what we can under that $50,000 mark, Bob, so that's really kind of the more important, you know, that's what we have budgeted, so.
Are these all front-wheel assist?
They're all 4-wheel drive, so yeah, yep.
So, actually, the Kubota is the best deal for us, as you price it.
Well,
Any of the accessories can go on any of them though,
Yeah.
too, so,
But
so
when
those
you add
accessories.
everything up-
Yes, right, if you add it that way, which is how it was bid, but you can also take those accessories and apply them to the deer or to the Yanmar as well, so.
Didn't we used to have a Kubota?
Yeah, we have Kubotas, yeah, we have had
I thought we
Kubotas.
did.
We've had really good luck with Kubota, and both of our tractors are deer, and we've had really good luck with them, so. Yanmar was an engine company for a long, long time. They make tractors in Japan. They started making 5 different units, I think, is what they make now in the United States. You know, what you see in the John Deeres, all of the John Deere diesels are run Yanmar motors, so, Yanmar diesels, you know, Gale. You're not losing any, I don't think either one of those tractors.
Perfect.
I'd rather just not have a preference. I'm not gonna operate it that much. I mean, you've got,
Like you're on slippery.
yeah, well, and you got one that is Raleigh, I mean, that's fairly local. You got one that is, you know, Owine Market, that's pretty local, and you got one that is pretty local, like right across the road local, so.
The Yanmar?
Yeah, Yanmar is Maverick Power Sports, so. They just started doing Yanmar here about maybe 5 or 6 months ago, so.
Would they do repair work?
Yeah, they're gonna be a full-service dealer, so, which includes diesel repair, and that was the question I asked, so, just to make sure, you know, and the only caveat to all of this is, you know, I don't know if we order tomorrow, if we get something by June. So, I mean, that might be part of it is to see which would be here the quickest. I mean, that would obviously be important too, so.
through the years, I mean, when we went to Kubota quite a few years back.
Yeah,
You've had real good luck with them.
we have, yep.
So my question is, as I go back onto this, I know we've had deer, and it goes down to, we've had good service from them all, from what I understand.
We have, yep, no, absolutely. Yeah, we have not had a bad piece of equipment from any of them, so, yep.
So whoever makes the motion gets to fill in the blank.
I would offer the council, based on delays that we're seeing in all of our departments, a suggestion that the motion entail who has the most availability or the best availability for the equipment. If they're all truly equal, which Bob has said they are, I think the availability is.
I would say the Yanmar motor is probably a little bit bigger. That's the 159 horse. I think the Deere is, 52. I think the Kubota is 54. So, I mean, they're all, we asked for something above 52. I mean, that was one of our things, so.
Well, we're not gonna get a supercharger.
No, right, yeah, no cat diesels today.
I make the motion, we get the one that's available first.
Second.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Just have a good night.
Good, thanks, Bob.
Any other discussion, council? Roll call, please.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan, Rodriguez, Hill,
Yes.
Sharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Thank you.
When we get those, pretty good, get them in writing. And we all know sometimes, just like our squad cars and everything, a tentative date, However, you see what I'm saying now?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Bob.
You'll just let us know what you find out?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Last item on the agenda is the fire department study request.
Bonnie, I just had one question for Bob. Does one of these come in blue or orange?
Luther got out of the tractor business a while ago.
We got out of football and basketball
You opened yourself up, Bob.
I've been done in.
He left himself wide open, didn't he?
Oh, boy, you left on that one.
Okay. Chief, would you like to explain or tell us about this last item?
Yeah, and I kind of talked a little bit about it at the public safety meeting. We've been blessed with some pretty good endowments from people who've passed away, have left us some pretty good endowments, as you've seen there. Just trying to look to the future and look at what we feel that we really need on the department. I talked about it year and a half ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was. I don't remember what we talked about. Not as plans or anything else, but just trying to talk and put stuff out there that it'd be nice to have an addition onto the south. There's safety issues that come along with it, and just having more room. When we're pulling out of the station currently, we've got to watch for traffic, and they don't always watch for us, even with the lights going. Me personally, when I went to back the trucks in, I've almost gotten hit a couple of times or hit somebody a couple of times because we got to make a big swing, and then we come over across the street. Well, we got to stop, look in the mirror to make sure that somebody's come along and doesn't go on past us, and that's with our lights going. It hasn't happened. If we're backing in from the west side, we're backing in that long lane there with all the parking. There's always a risk of somebody starting to back out, even though we got our backup, beeper going and everything else. There's always that risk of doing it. If we go on to the south, we'd be at that point pulling out of the building to the south, and we'd have about a 60-foot apron that we'd have the trucks would be completely out of the building before we ever even come close to trying to pull out onto the street. So the visibility
How
would be
far
much
south are you
greater.
talking about building?
We're looking at doing possibly an 80 by 80 building, and that would still leave us another 60 feet for an apron. Recently, we had companies coming in to do the servicing on the trucks. Well, our trucks with the custom cabs, you've got to tilt the cab to be able to get in and do the oil changes. Well, we can't do it inside the building, so we got to pull it outside. Well, where are we going to pull it outside to do it? Either we're going to block the street, or we're going to come around and hopefully we can get into the parking area on the west side to be able to pull the trucks in there and do it. With planning, we can put cones out. Hopefully, people watch the cones and they don't park there. It's just, but the inconvenience there where with the newer addition on, we could pull out on the apron and do it. We run the trucks on a weekly basis. We pull the trucks out. Well, right now, we're blocking Second Street, or we're coming out, and then we got people that we're blocking that have parked in there, and now they're trying to get out. We got the trucks sitting out there. We're running them, doing some minor checks and stuff on them. Currently, we're not asking for permission to build. We're not asking for permission to fundraise. We're just looking to say, okay, this is what we'd like to do. We don't know what that cost even is yet, but we feel that with what we have in the endowments, that it's going to make a pretty good dent in whatever that building would be. So currently, all we're really asking for right now is permission to fact check or fund check to find out, okay, what are we looking for ballpark price of doing this addition?
How many stalls you talking?
It'd be 4 doors to the south, which is what we would have room for to be able to put in. We've looked at it, we might be able to go 5, but then that's putting the trucks awfully close together. So we're figuring probably 4 doors to the south. With that, we could also put 2 doors still going east and west for like the attack. Attack 1, that's a smaller truck. If we've got the boat trailers, we could take those out that, they don't need the big swing. They're not quite as bad of an issue. So we could still have those. It would also increase our ability for trainings. Right now, if we want to train and it's raining out or it's cold out, we've got to pull trucks out. So we've got room in the apparatus bay to do our training. Not saying that we can't train in the rain and can't train in the snow, but we want to try to be as safe as we can while we're doing it.
Would we be vacating what we're currently using? Is that what you're saying? If we were to add those on there?
We would,
I mean,
the trucks were in the bay they are now would be going in the new area.
So what would be in those bays now?
It'd be open for us for training. We actually talked about possibly, one of the thoughts going out there is where the tanker and attack are now. That area, we could possibly make into a meeting room, so we're not having to go upstairs. And depending on stuff, we could possibly make it a dual meeting room to where that could be the new council meeting area there as well as our meeting. It doesn't get used that much upstairs now, or here, okay, a couple of times a month, that we could do a joint one that way. It just give us more room, more availability.
So your
Not-
request tonight is just to be allowed to do the.
Right, just to find out what that
investigation,
cost would be.
getting Cost and
Yep.
what.
You know, if
what
it's
would
gonna
work.
come back that it's gonna be $5 million, obviously, that's not even gonna be realistic. But if it comes back at, 100,000 or a little over, or a little less, then maybe we can start doing some public fundraising to see what else we can gain. And I think that if we got it out there, I think the public would be supportive of it. And if we do our campaigning the way we do and promote it, I think, I think it would be
Are you
accepted.
looking at bringing a professional in, architect, building materials or
Right.
layouts? I mean, you would expend some money.
There would be some expenditure there that, minimal expense there to do that.
Would that come from what you have now, or?
We could take that out of the current estate money, out of that money now that could go towards that. So-
Okay.
I know you can sit down with a napkin and everybody writes and draws and.
And then we know realistically that if we got a price tomorrow for what the addition would be, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the road, by the time we actually get the funds to do it, it's gonna be different. But at least we have a ballpark now of what it would be. So then, at least we'd know that, okay, how much more would we need? And how much time do we think it would take to get it?
Has one ever been done on that, Dick? Have you ever done one on that? Gotten any bids to do anything before then?
We'd actually talked to a firm at one time when we were looking at doing the whole city hall and everything, but nothing that, firm or.
Well, the two things to bear in mind is making sure that the council's on board with this before we started anything. It's not being done in secret. We did look at a larger renovation of City Hall, Fire Department, the whole bit. A little over 2 years ago, there was a number thrown out there with that time frame. However, we've all seen building costs change pretty dramatically over the last 2 years. And I don't think that number is valid. One of the and I really about council having
And don't want to blindside you, we get sick of what we're doing. If you guys come back and say, no, we're not interested in it at all, then we'll figure something else out.
If these down, are there any caveats about those, what they can use
No.
for? So they pretty much open-ended for the fire department to use?
Yep.
So are you looking at just fire department area, not, are you gonna stay with the current living?
Right.
Okay, so just be a tall,
Yep.
one-story.
Yep.
I think this is a really needed thing.
Yep. The only
Would you
other.
like
I
to
mean,
make a
and-
motion?
And like I said, it's early in the plannings. One of the other things we've talked about doing is possibly making a kitchen down there. We do our soup suppers. That would give us more room for our soup suppers. Not that that would be justification. Doing a kitchen down there to where we're not having to run stuff up and down the steps. We do our employee development day through the city. We've got something there to do it with too. Just a lot of different things. There's been a big push for clean rooms when it comes to the fire gear. We bought the new gear. We're doing a good job keeping it clean, but one of the things they're talking about is like right now our gear's out in the apparatus bay where the trucks are. Every time we start up the trucks, we're covering the gear in diesel exhaust. There's a big push about having it in a separate area, so we could do that. Just different things, looking at it that way, that it would just, a lot, I mean, there's a lot of things that, as you read into stuff, why it'd be nice to have it, so.
I make the motion to approve the study request.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, right now, we're not looking for anything approval to build or even to start
I'll second
fundraising. We
it.
just want to see what that cost would be.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second to approve the fire department to proceed with their research and study. I would like a roll call, please.
Hannah,
Yes.
Callahan,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. We are down to reports. I have a couple of items in case everybody didn't see it in the paper or hear it on the news. We did make our Halloween, citywide Halloween time will be on October 31st from 5:30 to 7. I was able to, after our meeting of the whole, talk to the police chief and come up with this, so it's been advertised in some places, but I wanted to make sure we made it public tonight's meeting. Also, next week, October 17th through the 23rd, is the American celebration at Drake University. We did at least discussed it, did a few things last year, but just wanted to make sure you knew that that was coming up. If you had any questions, I have some information, or you can even look it up through on the internet, character counts. Is there anything any council members have that they would like to share?
I'd like to share something. Well, first of all, I want to thank people for getting out there and start shopping locally. They have been doing good from what I hear. But one other thing I'm going to bring up, just last week I had these people, I was talking to them down to the music station. They're from Nebraska. And I got to talking to the gentleman, and Robert and Arlene Masters, and they're from Nebraska. They come through, they go on Highway 20, and they go to Illinois to visit relatives and friends or whatever. But they always stop in Independence when they come through. And they come through 2 or 3 times a year, and they stop and get a bite to eat or whatever. And they like our old mill, they like our city, but why they stop is because they stop out here to go to Swan Lake and notice those swans out there. Watch those swans, they love it. And he says, we're gonna continue to come, so I'm giving a shout out to Steve Castee, because he provides those swans. So I just like to share that with you.
Somebody's killed them every year.
What?
They stole them. But they're both there this year. They stole them before.
Wow.
Anyway, it's a beautiful sight.
Anyone else?
I'd like to shout out and encourage anybody in the area to attend the game Friday night, one of the first games of the year versus West Delaware, and I think we have a good opportunity to win.
For Mustangs?
Yep.
Anyone else? Either one of the department heads have anything else they would like to share before the night's up? Maybe?
Just share based on Mike's last talk. During the committee as a whole, we did talk about that. I made contact with Justin Putz today. He was going to put it in his game notes for our friends from the West Delaware School District to make sure that they use the 252 exit out there off of 20 so that we don't have extra traffic through our areas where we currently have construction. So that's been taken care of. That's all for me.
Bob? Have anything?
Dog Park Expo, I just wanted to make sure and thank the Dog Park Committee, Friends of the Dog Park. They do a great job. And from what I heard, it was well attended. Had a little bit of rain early on, which might have scared some, but all of the efforts that they put in every month. We did get the bathroom down there at Burma Park, so that addresses that area a little bit. Project anonymous has really,
Have we ever figured out as far as whether we're locking it, and if so, when, and who's responsible?
The what, the bathroom?
Bathroom.
Oh, I don't know. We're getting there slowly. How about that? We're not gonna lock. I mean, the problem is you wanna keep something open. You also have to take in consideration that they are public use and not monitored. And I think I think next year, we're gonna do some facility upgrades like we did this year, and hopefully we can just continue to make it nicer. We didn't have a ton of vandalism, but
Good.
we didn't have a whole lot of cleanliness either, so. But,
But for winter, it's gotta be closed, don't it, Bob?
yeah, it'll get shut down and winterized, Deb, for winter, yep, absolutely, so.
Okay.
But in the new court out there, JC, I don't know if everyone has a chance to look, turned out really good. You know, kind of made it a multi-use rather than just tennis. You got tennis, pickleball, basketball hoop, which there isn't one on that side of town. So, you know, some more things to make that. Yeah, we put the net up that Tuesday, or that Wednesday. It had to have 2 days kind of sit by himself, so, yep. So everything's up and operational. It's got kind of a 4-square area. The library has some equipment that you can check out pickleball, you can check out a 4-square ball. It's fairly close to that facility, so another cooperative thing we're trying to do. Library's idea, not mine, so. Thanks.
Putting some signs up at River's Edge, did I see?
Signs up. Oh, yes. So we had one group won a state championship, so we put our state championship signs on the outside of the building. So we got that put up this last week. We'll be working on all of the inside banners. We have 3 banners going up this week. In 5 years, we've won 2 state titles. We've played for 4 state titles, so a lot of good things there this year. River's Edge tryouts. We'll have 5 girls teams. Last year we had 2. The year before we had 0. So 5 the most teams we've had in our short history, so. Yeah, so, appreciate it, thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
That's how you build champions.
Steve, anything else? You don't usually like to get up and speak, so if you're
No,
willing, I'm
no,
ready to listen.
First, I want to thank you guys for ahead with the prices. Also, we had Fire Prevention Week last week. We've got kindergarten tours going through this week because they had parent-teacher conferences last week when we normally do them, so we've got that going on this week. Also, it's getting about the time of year to be putting in batteries, smoke alarms, check your smoke alarms. If smoke alarms are over 10 years old, they should be replaced. CO detectors over 5 years, they should be replaced. If anybody out there needs assistance with doing that, contact the station. We'll be happy to come out and swap out batteries, swap out smoke detectors, CO detectors. We'll check that out for you, so. All right.
Can you say tell what that number is so in case they don't get it or find it?
For the fire station?
Yeah,
319-334-3404.
good job. Thank you. City clerk have anything? Al have anything?
I do. I want to remind you that we have a training, mental health awareness training on Thursday, 2 sessions, one at 9, one at 1 o'clock. Council's welcome and invited to join us at either one. And we are doing an employee appreciation lunch at noon. So if you want to just come and join us for lunch, come on down to the fire station. I have it on good report that we have an exceptional chef that is grilling for us that day, Bob.
Who's gonna present that?
It's coming through Covenant Family Solutions. And I can't remember the gentleman's name. It's Nick. Yeah, I get it wrong, but it's through their program. It's something that has been put on in the area. Compliments to Susie. She found this training and has really been persistent in making sure that we bring it forward. I think it's worthwhile for
Thank you,
all of us, and so we are doing a mandatory training for our staff. What's
We
that?
haven't been that hard on Susie yet.
She's making sure we're not. So please join us on Thursday, either 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
12 o'clock.
Okay.
Oh, lunch.
Mr. Crawford, did you have any updates you wanted to give? Or- Okay, good. Okay, I didn't want to leave you out. Okay. Anybody
The culvert comes in
else?
this Friday, doesn't it?
I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are adjourned.